everybody, good morning. This is Jean here. Actually, it's good afternoon. Good afternoon, this is Jean here. This is Jean Truelove from Truelove Quilts for You. This is our block party 2019, Jean's block party. But before I get to my block number 41, I want to thank everybody. Again, I want to thank everybody. I put on a little introduction video. And you might be wondering, you know, I've been doing this now for a couple years. Why all of a sudden I put an introduction video? Well, what happened is the other day, our grandson Jackson, hey Jackson, came in to our sewing room. He had a sleepover actually, and he's 10, and he's a YouTube expert, a YouTube aficionado. He knows everything about YouTube. And he came into my sewing room, and my computer, as you know, is sitting there. And he watches all my videos. He goes, "Oh, you nearly have 20,000 subscribers now." And I'm like, "Yeah, you know, it's cool." How did that happen, right? And he's like, "But you need a trailer, a really good trailer." And I'm like, I don't. What's a trailer? I don't know. I have no idea. I do my little YouTube thing. The operative word is little. I know how to talk to a camera. I know how to push a few buttons and upload it onto the computer, and that's what I do, right? And he goes, no, you need a proper introduction to trailer. Long story short, what you saw, if you saw it, is my introduction trailer. So he says, a trailer, like, you know, a trailer for like a movie, between 1 and 2 minutes. And I'm thinking, I can't talk for 1 or 2 minutes. I talk for 40, right? Anyway, my introduction video, I think, is 3 minutes something, 3.5 minutes. Of course. So that's the reason why. So Jackson, he's like, whatever you have on there isn't right. It was just a movie I put on. I don't know what it was, and it wasn't the right thing. It was like 40 minutes long, tutorial or something. And he says, no. So anyway, if you're wondering why why I have this Jean Truelove about me, that's thanks to my Jackson, sweet child. So yeah, he came in and helped me. But anyway, on to our block party 2019. This is our block number 40. Now, it's not really a beginner's block. It took me like a half hour to make it. No, it took me like 40 minutes to make it. It's a glorified 9-patch. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. This is it. But there's a lot of pieces in it. I think I counted like 41 pieces of fabric or something. But it's a 9-patch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Fine. And all it is, what is it, folks? My beginner, my confident, my advanced beginners, we have flying geese units and half square triangles. That's it. 3 high contrast fabrics, obviously light, dark, light, medium, and dark, which I did. And again, it's a 9-patch, but with 8 pieces in one 3.5-inch square. So it is, not a quick block. You're not going to whip this out. Except Kathy, I won't tell you your last name. Kathy G, you know who you are. Catherine, you make blocks and you send them to me. I put a tutorial up, and like 2 hours later, Kathy sent private message me her block. Funny. So you know who you are, and well done you. This is my backing to my block. Lots to match, lots of points to match. I did pretty good. That's not too good. Whatever. That one's off. But so you're matching here, you're matching it. But you guys are now able to do this. I have confidence in you. If you are, oh yeah, there's a red bit. If you are you're using a white or lighter fabric, make sure that your dark threads, just take a second, make sure your dark threads don't grin through, because once your quilt's done, it's like, nah. And also squaring up. We've learned all of these techniques, haven't we? We've learned the half square triangles, and this is a traditional way to make half square triangles. I cut little pieces, I cut them on the diagonal. Oh, I did mess up. I did mess up, and I could have edited it out, and I didn't. But I tell you before, so you don't mess up. You know how I always say, oh, get your configuration right. I didn't. I'm sewing it completely wrong. And then I went to press it. I'm like, oh, that stinks. So I had to rip it out. But I ripped it out on camera. Anyway, I fixed it. Yeah, this is where I ripped it out. because you have to turn these units a certain way to get that design. But I love it. It's a real pretty little design. Lots to look at. I'm very pleased with my 1/4 inch. My 1/4 inch, my instructions are pretty good for cutting. There's lots and lots of cutting on the diagonal. Again, when you're making, I chain pieced all of these bits. There's 16 little half square triangles. It's on the bias. Just be careful. Use your 1/4 inch. Make sure even with smaller pieces. And I was thinking, I was looking at like, what makes a quilt block an advanced quilt block? Obviously, it's maybe a technique of I don't know, what kind of technique? I don't know. Because I look at so many quilt blocks and I'm like, that's just a quilt block with a whole bunch of different configurations. But this one was not an easy quilt block. But I'm doing it for you beginners because, as I say, you got this, girlfriend. You can do this. So that's our block 41. I'll put this up when I put it up. My husband and I just want to give a shout out to the Bucks County Visitor Center in Bensalem, Pennsylvania. We just got home from there. There's a quilt show from the many Bucks County quilting guilds. Beautiful, not a lot, only about 100, but my word, the caliber of quilts in a beautiful, air-conditioned, beautifully lit, calm visitor center in Bensalem. So if you have a chance, it's on into September. These quilts hanging up, just glorious. And they have a lot of other things pertaining, we live in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, pertaining to Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Very interesting, very nice morning out. We had breakfast and then we took Maxwell, my husband and I. It was really even Maxwell's like, that's pretty cool. Very, very pleasant. That's at the Bucks County Visitor Center, Tourist Center on Street Road in Bensalem. So we just got back from there. What else? Oh, I'm going to put up a couple pictures. Last Sunday we had our shower, our wedding shower for our friends Seth and Leah, young couple who are getting married in September. We had a wedding shower, and Leah especially likes camping. My camera just glitched off. You must excuse me. As I was saying, we had a wedding shower, or maybe I wasn't saying it. We had a wedding shower for our friends Seth and Leah. And Leah is like into camping, and our backyard, which it was being held at, is all over the place, like my house. We have like tiki umbrellas and all sorts of things. But her favorite color was green. So what I had done, actually for my patron people, I had done a tutorial on how to make bunting. You know, the flags, the pendants on the thing. Well, I had done a tutorial how to make that, and you put I made like 15 on a strip. Well, I so enjoyed making bunting. I made yards and yards and yards and yards of bunting, and I hung them all over. I'll show you a picture. I'm gonna put some pictures up. It was lovely. We had a nice bunch of people here. We did some nice little things for them. They appreciated it. So that was last Sunday. I don't know when I'll be putting this up, whenever, but the next following week, next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I won't be here. There's a convention down at the Leah Chorus Center on the Temple campus down in Philadelphia near Broad Street. A Bible convention, a 3-day convention that we are going to. Convention for Jehovah's Witnesses. The theme is Love Never Fails. We need more love in this world. So it's 3 days of beautifulness and, lovely things, lovely experiences, all about love. So we need that. So that will be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'll be gone morning till night. So whenever I get my another block up, I'm feeling better, not 100%. I'm going to be taking it easy. So our final block is whenever, block 42, which I'm not quite sure I'll do, but I'll let you know. And then we're on to sashing, cornerstones, and putting our quilt together. So block number 41, I hope you love it. I hope it's not daunting. Take your time, square your units. You got it. So again, thank you again. I appreciate everything. I appreciate all your kind comments. How nice. People like me. I feel like Sally Fields. You like me. You really, really like me. Or they hate me. Can't stand me. I laugh now. It's fine. But the majority of you appreciate me. Wow, so nice. And I love it. I love it. All we're doing is making pretty things and having fun. So I hope you enjoy this, folks, and thank you again. And we will see you when I do. Okay, see you, bye. So here we are on block number 41. Only this one and the next one left, and we are done our blocks for our block party. This block does have, hopefully you can see it in the beginning, does have quite a few pieces, but I feel as confident or even advanced beginners now, having 40 blocks, if you've continued from block 1 under your belt, that you won't be intimidated working with smaller pieces. So again, we have 3 fabrics, a light and a very dark and a more of a medium dark in this block here, which just consists of half square triangles, a square, and some flying geese units, which we have done. So fabric A, which is our light fabric, you are going to be cutting one 3.5-inch square. And then you are going to be cutting 16 2 3/8 inch squares. 2 3/8 inch. Now, as you know, on our ruler, the 3/8 inch, let me just grab it here, the 3/8 inch square, 2 3/8, is the one right before 2 1/2. So you have 2 1/4, and then the next one is 2 3/8. And that's where you want to be cutting 16 2 3/8 inch squares. Now from fabric B, our dark fabric, our darkest fabric for my block, is you're going to be cutting 8 2 3/8 inch squares. Again, 8 of these 2 3/8 inch squares. Now for fabric C, I've already subcut them. I completely forgot. But you're going to be cutting 2 4 1/4 inch squares. Okay, so here's my 4 1/4 inch square, which I'll do it a little bit backwards. We're going to be subcutting these, but fabric C, you are going to cut it 2 4 1/4 inch squares, and then with your ruler, you're going to be putting it on a line. You're going to be cutting it on one diagonal and then the second diagonal, both squares, and you are going to end up with 8 triangles. Okay, so we're subcutting our fabrics. Every fabric we are subcutting. So I'll go backwards. I'll subcut fabric B. Again, what I do is I'm going to line it up on my line. I do a couple at a time. And I put the diagonal to the diagonal. I take my ruler and diagonal to diagonal. You might want to do it one at a time. I can do it a couple at a time. And with just one thread inside here, so that our blade cuts it from diagonal to diagonal. You open up your blade, you cut diagonal to diagonal, and you make, oops, that one didn't cut. You make your triangle. Oops, it didn't cut. That's a bit wonky. Whatever. So there you go. So now I'm going to continue cutting on my fabric B on the diagonal. So I end up with 16 triangles. Oops, that didn't cut through. I think I need a new blade on my pink rotary cutter here. Diagonal. That one's I got to iron that one. I'll just do one at a time. I'm gonna mess it up here. Come on, diagonal to diagonal. I know I cut them. I know I cut them at 2 3/8. You might want to just do one at a time. I'm trying to be all clever. I'm gonna mess it up. And the last one. So that's that one. Now I won't bore you. I'm going to cut 16 of my fabric A on the diagonal. So I'm not gonna bore you, I'm just gonna subcut these. I'm gonna subcut them, 16 of them on the diagonal, and I will be back. Usually at this stage, after I've cut everything, I get out my design board and I put everything together, and we can see the block without the seam allowances, of course. I'm not going to do that this time because there's just too many pieces to mess about with, and I just have to deconstruct it anyway. But what I want you to do at this point now, we have 32 light, we have 16 dark triangles. Forget fabric C for a moment and forget the square of fabric A. I'm going to take my 16 triangles of my darkest fabric, and I'm going to count out 16 of my light fabric, and I'm going to take them over to my machine, and I'm going to chain piece, and I'm going to make 16 half square triangles of these, that dark and this light. What I've done now is, again, for just to speed it up a little bit, I've chain pieced these half square triangle units together. Okay, I have taken 16 of my light fabrics and 16 of my dark fabrics. I have 2 left to demonstrate, and I've just chain pieced them together with my 1/4 inch seam. Now we are working, as you can see, with a fiddly little unit here. That is a small little unit, and again, as a confident advanced or an advanced beginner, you will see that this is just the smallest unit that we've ever worked with, making these half square triangle units. I've not pinned anything. What I'll show you is I have them right in front of me. So this is on the bias, remember. So what we have to do is, with the pretty side to the pretty side, I'm going to just place that on. We've sewed that, we've cut them perfectly. We are sewing along the long side, and I've come to the end of that one. I just pick up my presser foot, and with the edge of my presser foot, knowing that that's my 1/4 inch seam there, I'm going to go very slowly, just holding it, guiding it, just till I get to the end. And I haven't picked up my presser foot yet. And then I have my last one. Again, pretty side to pretty side. They're the exact same size. I just pick up my presser foot slightly, line up the edge of my presser foot or wherever your 1/4 inch seam marker is, and I'm just going to finish this one. The 16, not pulling anything, and right off. The 16 half square. I pinch and I pull. And then I've chain pieced them, so I'm going to carefully cut them apart, all 16 of them. And then I'm going to take it over to my ironing board like we do. What are we going to do? You're going to set your seam. It sinks those stitches right down into the fabric. So we're ending up with these half square triangle units. Here I am over at my ironing board, and I'm pressing my little half square triangles. What we want to end up with, you must be very careful. I'm going to set the seam. I'm just going to press that very carefully, roll that up to the, hold the dark and roll it up to the dark, set my seam, pull my dark, and then just nudge that right up without skewing it. Now what we want to end up with, these little half square triangles, this lot here, we want them to measure 2 inches square. Now you've seen me do this before, but if we forget how to do this, what I've done is look at the difference between my trimmed up half square triangles, just lovely, all nice and trimmed up, all the dog ears, and look at this lot. Look at this little bird's nest of fabric here. So, and I cut them right, and they're pretty good. So they're 2 inches. It's just, you want to find your 2 inch mark on your ruler here, and all of our rulers have this diagonal. Hopefully you have this diagonal line printed on your ruler. So I'm going to put that diagonal right there, right on that line. Make sure it's nice and square and straight, and then just the little tiny bits of shred of fabric. But look at that pile. Now I'm going to turn it over, and the line goes on that diagonal of my fabric at 2 inches. 2 inches. It's almost perfect, but it just, again, you have 16 half square triangles, and you get that bunch of fabric there. So now we're going to basically make a 4-patch with our half square triangles. What you're going to do with your dark corners to the bottom left, you're going to put this pretty side over to here. You're going to find your 1/4 inch seam, and we can chain piece these. Just go slowly. Take 2 at a time. You're going to configure them. The dark to the left, one on top of each other, and then just tuck it right under there, and you can chain piece all of these units together. And then we're going to make 4 3.5 inch square blocks comprising of the 4 half square triangle units. So I will just finish this up. So this week we're going over quite a lot of things that we've already learned. We've learned how to chain piece, we've learned how to square up, we've learned how to make half square triangles in many different ways, but this is more of a traditional way. So now I have my units here, and I'm going to pull this apart, pinch that. I'm going to cut my units apart here, having chain pieced them. I like doing this. I think it's fun. Then cut that one off. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to open this up. I'm going to finger press that there. You see we have a nice 1/4 inch. Now what we're going to do, we can chain piece. Let me just see. See, this is the unit I want to end up. We're going to have 4 of these units here. So actually, what we're going to do is I'm going to finger press one way. This is going to the dark, but it will be able to nest beautifully. You can see that. So I've finger pressed this to the side, finger press the other one, being careful of my 1/4 inch seam. Now let me just take that off of the, I couldn't chain piece the rest, but I'll see how this has turned out. This is the unit. Oops, oh, my scissors went. My scissors went flying across the floor. oh, look at that. I forgot I have scissors attached here. What the heck? They're 2 pairs of the same scissors. Oh, whatever. So now, there you go. So now, very carefully, I'm going to take this over to my one. This seam's going this way, this seam's going the other way, and I'm going to set those seams, and I'm going to press that really nicely, and I'm going to make 4 of them. So now that I have made my little half square triangle units, now I'm actually going to try to put this block visually together. We still have some more piecing to do, but quite a lot of it has been done for us. So I'm going to put our center square, easy peasy, 3.5 inches, and I've just measured these are 3.5 inches. So these go like this on top of our block. This one gets sent. Now you have to see the configuration. Do you see? I turn that so that the dark is on the inside. And then, let me see if that's in there. Yeah, and then this one is sort of upside down, but going to the outside. So you see that? So that's that bit of the puzzle there. Now, with our fabric C and our fabric A, we are going to be making flying geese units, okay? And we're going to be making two at a time. I mean, we're going to be making them. So I'll just show you how these triangles are going to go. So this is a flying geese unit here, as you know. There's a flying geese unit, right? So we're going to be constructing 8 flying geese units. Okay? With our triangles here. We've done this before. Then our block is coming together. Oh, I like it. I think it's pretty. What I've done already is they're all flappy and flappy up. I haven't ironed anything, obviously. I'm constructing my flying geese units, and I've done 7 of them. Not pressed anything, and I have it on my design board next to my machine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish up the last one. I'm going to take it off my design board, and this is the unit we have here. Now we want to put the pretty side to the pretty side. We're stitching along the length here, okay? So you put this over, and what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to line up this edge, the bottom edge there, with the bottom edge of our bottom unit, the darker unit, okay? I'm going to scratch them together. I've just done 7 of them. Put the 1/4 inch down. Very carefully, just lay it there, 1/4 inch along here. You're going to have this 1/4 inch triangle hanging over, and you're going to go right into that intersection, and that makes our 1/4 inch, oh, there's my phone, our 1/4 inch seam allowance right there. So I'm going to finger press that up there, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing, figure it out. I'm going to put pretty sides, and this line here, oh, who is that? Put that line there to the bottom of my square there, and then I'm going to start here. Somebody's calling me. It's funny. I'm going right in that intersection, and then 1/4 inch, and then right off. Pinch, pull it out. Now, here is our little flying geese unit. The fabric wants to go, I'm going to set that seam, and the fabric wants to go up to the light, which is fine because it'll lay a lot nicer there. And then I would just trim off square that dog ear there and that dog ear there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put these nice pressed, trimmed up units together. So I have just trimmed up, ironed, pressed, and set the seams, and trimmed up all of these flying geese units. Now what we're going to do is, we have a nice 1/4 inch seam here and here, as you can see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over to my machine, my sewing machine, and I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam, and I'm going to make 4 of these half square flying geese units. I'm just going to stitch this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the right sides, the pretty side to the pretty side. They're the exact same size. And then with a 1/4 inch seam, I have a 1/4 inch seam there. I have a 1/4 inch seam there. On all of these, I'm going to stitch this center unit together. I will set that seam and press them, and then we can put our 9 patch together. I'm chain piecing these 4 flying geese units together, 2 each. So there is my flying geese unit. Okay, so what I'm doing is, here's my single flying geese units. What I do is I make sure my configuration is proper, and I'm putting my right sides, my pretty side to my pretty side. But when I see, and so they're going the same way, that's right. But what I do is and they're the same size, I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to turn it over, and there I can see my 1/4 inch seam. So if I'm stitching here on this side, I can't really see where or feel where that seam intersection is, but I can see it on this side. So as you can see, they're all stitched the exact same way. If you can see that, they're all stitched the same way. With that little seam, I can see the stitching. So I lift up my presser foot 1/4 inch, go slow, and then I can just see exactly. I'm not coming into the point, I'm not going out of the point. Just sort of going 1 thread above the point to allow for the turn of the fabric, and then right off. And then I'll cut my bits apart. I'll cut my units apart. Now I'm going to go over and I'm going to set that seam. And there, I'm going to press it wherever it wants to go up. There's my units right there. My point is perfect. My point is, I could have gotten a little bit, that's one thread off, but that's good. My point is there. Set that seam. Let me see. Press that up. My point is lovely for this flying geese unit. Set that seam. And oh, that's a little bit, oh, that's a little bit. I can make this. It's not quite a 1/4 inch, and it's a little bit too big. So I'm going to go back 1 thread in and make it a little bit smaller. And see if, yeah, see if that's a little bit better, because that was a little bit of a gap. I didn't cut off my point. That was funny. So let me just pull this out. And there we go. When I push that up, and there's a nice, I haven't cut off any of the points. So now I have 4 of these units. So now, as you can see, I have my 4 units here, my 4 half square triangle units, and this is my center square, and this is our 9 patch. I'm going to be back and I'm going to put my 9 patch together. I've pressed all of my units together. I have 9 of them, quite a lot of fabric in each one, but now it's time just to put my my blocks together. So I'm literally going to do 1 row at a time. I have to match up this center seam here, but I have my 1/4 inch and 1/4 inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my top row, making sure my pattern's correct. The half square triangles go into there. They're all, what size does our blocks have to, our units have to end up on a 9-inch block? 3.5 inches, right? So each one of these is going to be 3.5 inches. I squared my half square my flying geese units to 3.5 inches. I'm going to put this one over here, nest this seam here. I got a 1/4 inch. Oops, my thread came out. My thread came unthreaded. So yeah, you're going to square up all of your units to match the center 3.5 inch square. So I've pressed all of my units together. I have 9 of them, quite a lot of fabric in each one, but now it's time just to put my my blocks together. So I'm literally going to do 1 row at a time. I have to match up this center seam here, but I have my 1/4 inch and 1/4 inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my top row, making sure my pattern's correct. The half square triangles go into there. They're all, what size does our blocks have to, our units have to end up on a 9-inch block? 3.5 inches, right? So each one of these is going to be 3.5 inches. I squared my half square my flying geese units to 3.5 inches. I'm going to put this one over here, nest this seam here. I got a 1/4 inch. Oops, my thread came out. My thread came unthreaded. So yeah, you're going to square up all of your units to match the center 3.5 inch square. 1/4 inch. And it's this middle seam here that nests. There's my top row. This one's easier, making sure that your middle row, your flying geese are going out. And because of the way we've pressed it, it works really quite beautifully. You always, it's not imperative, but I like the back to be as pretty as the front as far as how the fabric wants to go. This one's going that way. They're all the same nice size, 1/4 inch. And as you can see, we have our 1/4 inch seams there. So we're just doing a glorified 9 patch. Again, these dark units are up, putting that together. There's the middle seam to match, or to nest, I should say. The middle seam and a 1/4 inch seam. Oops, scratch that together. Not a beginner's block. It's not hard. You've done all of these things. It's just a lot going on. There's that bit, and then there's this one here. Turn that around. We've done all of these practices now. We've done pretty much lots of beginner tasks in our block party. Now we're just sort of putting them all together in smaller units. And I think, actually, I'm thinking, what's a complicated block? It's just a whole bunch of different units, you know, a whole bunch of different things put together. Now here's my 3 rows. And what I am going to do is I am going to go over to my ironing board now, and I'm going to set this seam here, and this seam here, this seam here, and then I'm going to, this one wants to go into the middle, and these want to go out to the side, out there. I'm going to put them on where they want to go, and then I'm going to match these points here, and hopefully we'll have a 9.5 inch block when I am done. Now, did you guys see what I did? I'm always talking about configuration. The dark should be inside. Look at this one. I got to unpick it. I went to iron all of my bits, all of my seams, and I went to put it together. I'm like, what? Now wait a second. No, yeah. So you have to make sure that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 dark pieces, dark half square triangles going into the center. You see that? So I'm just going to unpick that. I'm not proud. I screw up. I messed up. I mess up sometimes. And I'm like, you know, but like, so now what I'm going to do, I got all these threadles. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go iron these bits here. I'm going to configure it. There you go. I'm going to have to go press this, take this, all these threads out, press this one, look at it. That's the way it should go. You see that? The 4 things there. So now I'm going to I fixed it. I will fix it and I'll be back. So, off the machine, pressed iron, ta-da! There's our block. I'm looking through it, and there's a lot of pieces in this block. I suppose it's not like a beginner's block. Oh, hold on, let me see. Oh, wait a second, let me see. So, yeah, it's a 9 patch, but with a ton of pieces in it. But you'll be okay with it. Half square triangles, flying geese, and a regular square. 9 patch, but it does have, oh, it doesn't look a little, it looks, oh, it's a little bit short there and a little bit big there. Almost. Just this one, just over here. I'm trying to be aware of my 1/4 inch seams there. Just slice that off, just neaten it up a little bit. Let me do this side here. Yeah, it's pretty good. Just being aware, just slice it off. Being aware, I have some very nice, generous 1/4 inch seams there, as you can see, right over here. You see that? 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch. You do have to be aware. It's a little bit small there, but I'm just going to slice that off to get some of those. You do have to be aware that when you're putting the block together, that you're matching this point, which I didn't do a great job. You're matching this point and this point with, you're matching a lot of points. So a couple of them are a little bit off, but for the most part, it's wonderful. Look at that. So there's a lot. Can you imagine in your block party putting that next to your 4 patch? Well, you've come a long way, baby. Seriously, it's a lot. This is the most pieces that we've had in a block. I don't know how I can top this for next week, because I guess you still are beginners. But yeah, it's pretty. It's pretty. I like my fabrics. I'm very, very happy with the pattern, the 1/4 inch. And like I said, I could have done that a bit better, but it's awesome. It's awesome. I'm very thrilled with it. I hope you are too, folks. I hope you love block number 41. Yeah, it's pretty. It's almost sort of giving me a headache. It's a little bit dizzying, like an optical illusion. It's funny. Anyway, okay, that is block number 41 of our block party. I will be back when I am for block number 42. Yeah, this is exciting. All right, folks, thanks a lot. See you later. Bye.
Over the hills and far from mine, she's waiting for love to